Hey everyone, how are you doing? I hope you're safe and doing well wherever you are. Welcome to Haunted Corners, the place where real stories meet the shadows. Tonight, I've brought you a tale that might make you think twice before turning off the lights. So, sit back, relax, and let's step into today's chilling story. This is a tale about a family who went on a road trip to the mountainous regions of the USA. Along the way, their car ran out of gas. They didn't realize it because the fuel gauge was faulty. The real story begins here. Their car broke down in a terrifying, desolate place. What happened to them next is best heard from Hannah.
My name is Hannah, and I'm from Chicago. I am telling this story to someone for the first time today. Some memories are so deeply etched in a person's mind that they refuse to fade, even after years. We were heading from Chicago toward the Great Smoky Mountains National Park for a trip. Mom, Dad, my little brother Sam and I were all so excited. Dad had decided we would leave at night so we could reach the mountain areas by morning. We always loved night drives, the empty roads, the cool air, and the soft music playing inside the car. But that night's journey changed my life. We were traveling along a remote stretch of the Appalachian Scenic Byway in West Virginia. The road cut through the mountains, flanked by thick woods, with clouds hanging low in the sky. It was drizzling lightly in some spots. Dad was driving, and Sam was nodding off to sleep. Everything was fine. Then, after driving for quite a while, we realized the road was completely deserted. No cars were passing us, and none were coming from the opposite direction. A sense of dread started to build in my heart. Then, a sight that absolutely terrified us. The car's horn started blaring on its own. Dad pressed the horn in surprise, but it wouldn't stop. Then, the headlights suddenly went out for a moment. It was so dark. All we could hear was the cold wind howling through the valley. Mom said, "Oh, may God protect us. What happened to the car?" Dad pulled the car over to the side. The horn stopped. But now, the engine wouldn't start. I peered outside. It looked like a dense forest area. Tall trees everywhere, darkness behind them, as if something was staring at us. An owl hooted somewhere far away. The cold air carried a strange, heavy feeling. Believe me, the atmosphere was so thick that even if you saw nothing, the hairs on your arms would stand up. Dad opened the hood and got out of the car. I watched his flashlight, shining in the darkness. Mom anxiously whispered, "Hannah, check your phone. Are there any signals?" I looked at my phone. No service. Dad returned and said, "The fuel meter must have been faulty. We ran out of gas. I'm going to look for a gas station nearby. You all stay in the car. Lock the doors securely." Mom's voice was shaky. "Where are you going alone at this hour of the night?" Dad forced a smile. "I think there's a small town a few miles ahead. I'll get a jerry can from there. I won't go too far. Just pray." He put on his jacket, took his flashlight, and walked off into the darkness. I tried to watch him, but he disappeared behind the trees within moments. A profound silence fell inside the car. Outside, there was only the sound of the wind, like someone whispering. Mom had a digital version of the Bible on her phone. She opened it and began to read. I pulled a blanket over Sam's shoulders. He was still asleep. But how could I sleep? My heart was pounding faster and faster. It felt like someone was outside. I looked out the window. Nothing, just darkness. Then, someone gently tapped on the car's back door. I jumped and looked at Mom. "Mom, did you hear that?" Mom said, "What? Did someone knock on the door?" She finished her verse and spoke softly. It was probably the wind, but it wasn't the wind. A knock came on the door again. I mustered up my courage and looked out the window. There was nothing there. But the next moment, I felt like a shadow was moving around the car. The crunching of leaves underfoot, like someone was walking. I asked Mom, "Mom, is someone out there?" Mom nervously looked toward the door, but outside was complete darkness. Then, someone struck the front windshield of the car. A long streak formed, as if a wet hand had been dragged across the glass. That's when I screamed. I checked the door lock. It was secure, but my chest felt tight. Just then, Sam woke up. "What happened?" I said. "Nothing. Go back to sleep." That sound came again, this time from the back of the car, like something running on gravel. And then, in an instant, a loud bang on the car's hood, like a rock had been thrown. Mom cried out, "God help us!" I bravely looked out. There was nothing there. But between the trees, I saw two gleaming eyes. Not white, but faintly red. And below them, a shadow stood, absolutely motionless, as if rooted to the ground. My tongue was tied. My breath caught. Mom saw it too. Now, both of us were silent, only fear visible in each other's eyes. Then, the shadow slowly began to retreat. It vanished into the trees, but those eyes, they seemed to still be watching us. Mom told me, "Keep praying, honey. Dad will be back soon." I started reciting prayers, but the fear in my heart grew deeper. Every sound seemed amplified. The leaves, the wind, everything seemed to signal the approach of something vast. Then, suddenly, the car's interior light turned on, all by itself, and Sam started screaming, "Like someone sitting there!" I immediately looked behind me, because the rearmost seats in our SUV were empty. No one was on the seat. But Sam pointed his finger and cried, "Down there!" Mom started reading the Bible aloud. I peered down, nothing under the seat. But for a moment, I saw a shadow sliding out from underneath the car. From under the car, a faint sound of trickling water was audible somewhere far off. Perhaps a creek was flowing, but even that sound carried a kind of terror. Sam whispered, "Sis, when will Dad come back?" "He'll be here any minute," I said, but there was no conviction in my own voice. Mom began reciting a prayer. The car windows were fogged up. Mom wiped the front windshield clean with her hand and saw something on the side of the road. It looked like a small pile of rocks. Someone seemed to have deliberately placed 3 or 4 stones one on top of the other, like a marker or a sign. I showed Mom. She quickly averted her gaze and said, "Don't look there. Just pray." I was still reciting the words when the car radio turned on by itself. A strange sound came out. First a buzzing, then like someone reading a passage from far away. And then the voice abruptly changed into an unfamiliar, sharp, and very weird dialect. Mom quickly reached out and twisted the radio knob. The radio turned off. What happens next? If there are people listening who are easily scared, try not to listen to this part. In the very next moment, we felt a slight pressure on the roof of the car, as if something was walking slowly. Sam flinched and grabbed my arm. "Sis, who's on the roof?" I could only stammer, "Nothing. Maybe a raccoon." But we all knew that a raccoon up here, in the middle of the night, between these mountain trees, walking so slowly, and then those steps, as if bare feet filled with wet mud, and along with it, a strange hissing sound, like air passing through a crack. But where was the crack in the car roof? Mom started reading the 9th Psalm aloud. Just as she finished the last verse, The pressure suddenly ceased. I let out the breath I realized I had been holding. The three of us spent a few moments in silence. Then, a flashlight beam appeared in the distance. A glimpse, then gone, then again. I pressed against the window. "Mom, I think that's Dad!" My joy was short-lived, for the light didn't shine on the road, but flickered among the trees, and then moved weakly, as if someone were dragging it on the ground. A straight, yet strangely broken movement. Then the light went out. Sam whispered, "Why is Dad going into the woods?" Mom just trembled and said, "That wasn't Dad's light." To steady myself, I checked the door locks again. Then I thought I should honk the horn. Maybe someone would hear it. The moment I reached to press the horn, it blared continuously for a very long time. It was so loud my ears were ringing. I pulled my hand away in panic, but the horn kept going on its own. Then it suddenly stopped. After this, the window fogged up again. This time, from the inside, as if a cold breath had been exhaled right inside the car. "I seek refuge in God!" Mom screamed and started praying. Sam and I were screaming too. The atmosphere in the car was sheer terror. I gathered the courage to turn on the headlights. Despite the weak battery, the light flashed on. In front of us, the pile of rocks now looked bigger, as if someone had brought more rocks and placed them on top, and next to them, footprints in the wet dirt by the side of the road. But the prints were odd. Heel and toe seemed backward, as if whatever made them didn't walk straight or simply dragged itself. Mom asked, "Hannah, are the locks secure?" I nodded and clutched the small screwdriver kept near the handbrake. What could I do with it? But it was necessary to have something in my hand. Suddenly, a silent shadow pressed against Sam's window. Someone drew a line on the moisture with a finger. It was on the outside of the glass, but the sound was audible inside, a strange scraping noise. I turned and looked. Written on the window glass, in the fog and dirt, was a word. "Get out." The word was not straight. It was written backward, as if by someone on the inside. I reached out and wiped it away with my palm. My hand became wet from the dew on the glass, and it felt like wet ash, slightly burnt. Mom started reading aloud. Sam was on the verge of tears, but I hugged him tight to my chest. "I'm here. See? Nothing's going to happen." Just then, the sound of footsteps was heard in the distance, like a human walking, and it was that voice my heart dreaded. I looked out the window, a shadow in the darkness. It was Dad's voice. "Hannah, open the door, honey." "Okay, Dad." But Mom grabbed my arm. "No," Mom said. "It sounds like Dad." And she closed her eyes. Mom said, "Voices can be deceptive. Ask him a question first." I shouted loudly, "Dad, what did you tell Sam when you left?" 2 seconds of silence. Then the reply came. "I told him, don't go to sleep." I felt sick. Dad had given Sam a blanket when he left and said, "Sleep tight." Why was he saying the opposite? A shiver ran through me. Mom whispered, "Don't open the door." With trembling hands, I double-checked the central locking. Outside, the shadow slowly approached the window. Its breath fogged the glass, but its face wasn't clearly visible, just a distorted outline. Then the same voice. "Hannah, open up. I'm cold, honey." For a moment, I felt like opening it. Then a voice inside me screamed, "No." I gathered all my courage. I said, "Dad, what color shirt were you wearing when you left?" I asked this question deliberately to confuse it. Dad was wearing a shirt and slacks, and his new jacket with white stripes. The shadow outside paused. Then it stammered, "But black." and then the words seemed to catch in its throat. It scraped a fingernail across the glass and started taking strange, wheezing breaths, then softly slipped away. We listened carefully. A rustling of leaves and a hissing sound. It was moving toward the back of the car. At that moment, something started dragging itself from under the car. At first, I thought it was an animal, but the dragging sound was very rhythmic, as if counting its steps. 3 seconds of dragging, 1 second of stopping, then 3 seconds, then 1 second. Sam pulled his legs up. He was terrified. "Sis, there's something underneath." Scared, I too put my feet up on the seat. Then, a light tapping sound came from below, like someone hitting the underside of the car with both hands. 1, 2, then silence. Then 1, 2 times, and then silence. All with a rhythm. Mom kept praying, holding a finger to her ear. Her hands were shaking. I looked forward, and my heart stopped in my chest. The pile of rocks in front of us was now not 2, but 3. 1 on the left side of the road, 1 on the right, and 1 directly in front of us at a short distance, as if someone had surrounded us and all 3 had strange marks on them. A circle with 4 sections, and each section with a different angle. I had never seen these symbols before. It just felt like they were quietly blocking our path, as if someone had divided this road. I took a deep breath. "Mom, we have to do something." Mom said, "Roll the window down slightly and pray loudly, and don't listen to any unfamiliar sound. Just listen to your own prayer." I slowly rolled the window down an inch. Icy cold air rushed in. My breath froze. A faint whisper came from outside. There were no words in it, just like someone laughing or crying with their breath. I shouted the prayer with all my might. My voice initially trembled, but slowly grew stronger, as if I was pushing my own fear away. The moment I said the final words, the tapping sound under the car stopped. I rolled the window up and sank back. Then, so suddenly that all 3 of us jumped, someone forcefully shoved the car from the very back. The car slid forward an inch, despite the handbrake. Sam screamed. I instantly looked in the rearview mirror. Right in the middle of the mirror were 2 red eyes. They slowly rose, then lowered, and then vanished. I was utterly terrified. "Oh God! Dad, please hurry." Time felt like it was crawling. I don't know how long we sat there praying. Then, the sound of human voices came from somewhere far away. It sounded like 2 people whispering to each other. The language wasn't clear, but the accent sounded like it was from a mountain area. I immediately flashed the headlights again. In response, a flashlight beam waved toward us, and with it, a loud voice called out, "Hello? Car trouble?" A flicker of hope sparked in my heart. Mom said, "See if they can help." I slowly rolled the window down. 2 shadows approached the road. One had a flashlight, the other had a jerry can slung over his shoulder. They shone the light on the road, not the car windows. The first one spoke. "Ma'am, did you run out of gas?" I stammered. Yes, Dad went to get gas," he said. "We saw your car parked there from a higher elevation. We suspected a car had broken down or run out of gas. We've come to help you. It's not a good night to be out here. Don't go wandering around." His last words were strange. "Don't go wandering around." I looked at Mom. She was silent. The second man slowly placed the jerry can on the ground. "If you need gas, we have a little." Then he looked startled. "But who is under your car?" Both of them were looking under the car. This was a very strange scene. Electricity shot through my body. "Who?" He put his hand on his knee and peered underneath. Then he instantly straightened up, covering his mouth as if he'd caught a bad smell. Fear was in his eyes. "Get it out!" I yelled. "What? Who?" One of the men pointed under the car. "Come out! Are you listening?" At that moment, the car lurched forward slightly again, as if someone had shoved it from below. Sam screamed hysterically. Mom raised her voice in prayer. I checked the door locks again. I rolled the window up. The man shined his flashlight under the car and froze. His head slowly rose, and he looked terrified. He just said to the other one, "Let's go," and both began to back away. They left the jerry can there, as if something had pushed their feet. I leaned out the window and pleaded, "Wait, please." They didn't turn back. One just signaled with his hand, "No," and then both vanished into the trees on the left side of the road. The flashlight flickered twice, and then darkness. I stayed glued to the window for a long time. Then my gaze fell on the ground. The jerry can was lying there. I thought to myself, if I quickly jump out and grab the jerry can by the handle. But then, with that very thought, a faint line formed on the main windshield. Then one, then two, then three, all parallel. And then a very soft whisper right next to my ear. "Don't get out." I turned to stone. Mom saw my face turn pale. "What is it?" I could barely speak. "Mom," a voice came from inside. Sam cried and clung to me. "Sis, I want to go home." I comforted him. "Yes, we are going home. Just a little longer." But inside, I knew that time was pressing down on us. Then, suddenly, as if by magic, another beam of light appeared on the road in the distance. But this time, with the light, came the sound of Dad's cough. That slight cough that was Dad's habit when he was tired. I couldn't help but call out, "Dad! Dad!" Mom quietly said, "Call him, but be careful." The light came closer. This time, the gate was right, a straight human walk. I held my breath and flashed the headlights once. And then, in the circle of light, Dad's face appeared. Sweaty, dusty, and actually holding a small can of gas. "Hannah, don't open the door. I'll open it myself," Dad said quickly. The same anxiety, but truthfulness, in his tone. He pulled out his key, started to put it into the driver's side door. Then he paused. "Whose jerry can is this?" He saw the second can on the road. "Are you all okay?" His eyes suddenly fixed on mine, as if he saw something behind me. I was about to turn around when Dad sternly said, "Don't look back." And then, a moment that stopped my breathing. Dad opened the door. He quietly told Mom, "Keep reading. Hannah, look at me, not outside." I nodded. Outside, someone tapped on the back of the car one last time, like a farewell. Then the same wet ash smell, and then the air pressure seemed to burst. Mom's voice softened, and Sam seemed to calm down a little. The owl hooted again in the distance, but the terrifying pull was gone. Dad said, "I'm putting the gas in. No one leaves the car." He opened the can, quickly poured the gas, got back in the car, and turned the key. He tried hard 2 or 3 times. It didn't start the first time, not the second time, but the third time. The car roared to life with a jolt. As the headlights fully illuminated, I involuntarily looked in the rearview mirror. The piles of rocks on both sides of the road had collapsed. The marks were gone, as if they had never been there. Dad put the car in gear and said, "This is not a good place." That's all he said, and he slowly drove the car forward. As we left that spot, the atmosphere felt a little better. But I knew the night was still long, the road was long, and whatever was at that place couldn't be left completely behind. After Dad started driving, we thought it was over, but in reality, the fear started then. The car slowly moved forward. The road was deserted, the trees on either side so tall that the sky was invisible. The headlights only lit up a few feet ahead. The rest was complete darkness. It felt like we had entered a place where time had stopped. Dad drove in silence. Mom continued to pray. Sam and I sat in the back, just listening to the road noise. We could hear the crunching of gravel under the car tires. After a while, Dad quietly said, "I haven't seen this road before." Mom said, "But this is the main highway." Dad adjusted the lights forward. "No, this road hasn't been straight. Earlier, the mountain was on the left. Now, it's on both sides. I think we turned onto an inner, rough trail." I looked out the window. Leaves, trees, and a white smoke hovering close to the ground. Like morning fog, but the fog was moving, not with the wind, but on its own. Sam whispered, "Sis, look there." I saw 3 rocks placed on the side of the road, exactly like the ones we saw before. Someone had drawn a circle on one with black ash. "Dad!" I said in a fearful voice. "Those are the same signs." Dad slowed the car. "Yes, I see them. But we drove past that spot." He touched his ears. "May God keep us safe." Dad decided not to stop the car, just keep going. Now, a strange odor started filling the car. Wet wood, like burnt rubber. I felt Sam clinging to my shoulder. "Sis, someone outside just said my name." I gasped. "What?" he was saying, Sam's voice shaking. Yet the car windows were closed, and the car was moving. I saw a woman standing in the middle of a bridge ahead. In white clothes, long hair, face lowered. Dad slammed on the brakes immediately. The car stopped with a jolt. Mom nervously exclaimed, "God is great!" The woman stood perfectly still, as if frozen to the ground. Dad honked the horn. She didn't even flinch. "That is not a person," Mom said in a low voice. The woman slowly raised her head. Her face, it wasn't a face, but only black smoke, and where her eyes should have been were 2 red marks. I screamed. Sam closed his eyes. Dad said a silent prayer and drove the car forward. As the car passed her hair flew in the air, and she shouted in a loud voice, "You've taken the wrong path." The car crossed the bridge, but the voice followed us. Dad's forehead was slick with sweat. "This is no ordinary road. We're going back." I was trying to use Google Maps on my phone, but there was no signal. Fortunately, the signal came back and the location locked. I immediately handed my phone to Dad and told him to follow the location. The problem was, we had to turn around and pass the spot where we had seen the woman. Dad said, "Just keep praying, and pray loudly." We all started praying loudly, and we had to pass the woman again. Dad turned the car around and drove past that spot quickly. The woman was standing exactly where she had been. As we passed her, she started screaming and yelling, and it felt as if a shower of stones was hitting our car. Oh my God, telling this story might not be scary, but if you were there yourself, feel it. Imagine what that scene must have been like. A little later, we reached the main highway. We sped up. No one said a word. Mom's phone had the Bible, and her lips were moving constantly. Sam was quiet, but his eyes were still wide open, as if he were deeply traumatized. Faint lights from buses or trucks started appearing here and there. Dad said, "Thank God. We're back on the main road." Mom took a deep breath. God's grace. We arrived back in Chicago by noon the next day. Everyone was exhausted. Dad said, Don't mention this trip to anyone. People will laugh. They'll say it was our imagination. The next morning, Sam was burning with fever. In his sleep, he kept repeating the same sentence. He kept saying, "Don't get out, don't get out." Mom nervously called the pastor. He placed his hand on Sam's head, read verses from the Bible, and softly said, "It's not just fear, it's an influence. The area you went to was an ancient, protected place. Humans don't pass through there without permission. They wanted to stop you." Dad asked, "So, is everything all right now?" The pastor said, "If you didn't leave anything behind out of fear, then God willing, he'll be fine." Mom said, "We didn't leave anything there. Only that jerry can was left behind." Dad nodded. "We forgot that can of gas there." Well, Sam's fever broke in a few days. Peace returned to the house. But I still hear that soft sound when I go to sleep at night, like someone whispering. You took the wrong path. And now, I am terrified of going to those remote places.
So friends, I hope you liked today's story. If it gave you chills, show some love by liking the video. And if you're new, hit that subscribe button and join our YouTube family. Don't forget the bell icon, so you and I never get lost in this mysterious world of YouTube. Take care of yourself, and I'll meet you again with another story that will keep you up at night.